like, well, that's a disadvantage to gender roles because you ain't just gonna, I'm not your child. Okay.
I never knew that. But I feel like if you're in a household, again, where your man loves you and cares for you, he ain't going to take, no, that's not taking place. No matter, unless you want it.
Shh, be quiet.
Welcome to the PowerTrip Podcast. We're your hosts,
Charmaine
and Saquon.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Good people. Good.
Hey, everyone. So today we have episode 2 of our couple series, and we're going to be discussing gender roles within a marriage. And we have 2 special guests today, our lovely friends, Navarro and Courtney Whitaker. So I'm going to have you guys introduce yourself, let the people know who you are.
And before you guys introduce yourselves, you forgot it again. They're actually a married couple.
What do you mean I forgot it again? This is the first time.
Nuh-uh, you did on the first one too.
Okay.
But anyway,
by saying friends. Navarro and Courtney Whitaker, I think you guys got the hint. But all right, go ahead, guys.
I'm Navarro Whitaker, business owner and nonprofit owner. This is my lovely wife, Courtney Whitaker.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So let's just jump on into it. So today, like in today's society, I feel like gender roles is kind of like a controversial topic. A lot has changed over the years, and you know, some people believe that having gender roles in a marriage is good. And some people believe that it's a reason that not having gender roles within a marriage is a reason for, hold on. Sorry, this thing is falling off my head. All right. And some people believe that not having gender roles within a marriage is a reason why we have so much divorce going on today. So I would ask you guys, what do you feel like, do you feel like it's necessary to define gender roles within a marriage?
All right. So I feel like when you're dating, right? Well, when you meet someone, you're attracted to them for whatever reason it is, right? Okay. And then you guys start dating, and then you go on the courtship phase and into marriage. So you already know who this person is, if that makes sense, right?
Right.
So whatever role they were playing whilst you were dating should be the same one that ends up being the person you're married to. That's what I think about that whole situation.
Okay.
So if you're, because gender role, I mean, I was looking up the definition earlier, and it was just saying like characteristics, right? So it's really, I mean, you already know that person. So I think in marriage, it's whatever, as long as you guys are, feeding off each other, you're able to, work things out and love one another the way you are, because that's how you started dating them, then I think that's fine.
Okay.
So since you brought it up, the definition of gender roles are the behaviors, values, and attitudes that a society considers appropriate for both male and female. So obviously, in a short, simpler term, society assigns certain type of behaviors and attitudes to a gender.
Right.
What would be some examples of that, you think?
So in like traditional gender roles, like for women or for a wife, it would be, if you guys have children, to raise the child. It would be to take care of household chores. It would be to make sure that your man is taken care of physically, emotionally. And for men, traditionally, men really didn't have much. Men was like, you be the provider.
Yeah.
You provide financially, you protect, and you just make sure, you're loyal. It was like, but women, we had a whole laundry list traditionally. So those are just some examples of what traditional gender roles are. And are there any that you guys can think of that we're missing?
As far
Like
as
just like back in the day, like traditional gender roles that you've heard of?
something huge that probably
right, provider, protector
Right, for men.
for men.
Yeah.
would you
And also, oh, go ahead.
would you say there's more to the male list?
I think there's a little bit more, right? Because I think you have to take care of the crib. So if something breaks, typically a man will go and fix that. Trash duties, car, like that type of stuff. That
heavy lifting. Okay.
Right, more masculine, right? That's the type of stuff that dudes will do.
Gotcha. Okay, that's good. Were you going to say something, Court?
No, I was going to say on the woman's, because we were being kind of like high level for the guy where it's just protect, provide. For women, it really kind of comes down to me, like nurturing, caring, those things. When you say them high level, then you can have the laundry list underneath. Like that means taking care of kids, right?
Right, the specifics.
Being there, emotionally for the people in the household.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. And as a married couple, how do you define gender roles within your relationship?
Within our relationship, it's pretty traditional. I believe the man should provide and protect. And so that comes in the form of working, making sure that there's a roof over our head, bills are paid, but then also protecting as well, making sure that they are secure and being able to flourish emotionally and physically. So providing a conducive climate for the women and children to be who they are, grow, and without having to worry about anything.
Okay. In Court?
I mean, to piggyback off what he said, we are pretty traditional. So I do stay at home with the kids. I take care of the house, and now he helps me a lot, especially with dishes. But and cooking too, because he's a really great cook. And so, I do pretty traditional stuff, right? Caring for everyone, nurturing everyone, making sure his needs are met, and the kids.
Okay, so is this something that you guys foreseen? I guess say 10 years ago, would you have seen that you would be in a relationship like this
with traditional gender roles?
I did because my grandparents, they were married for 67 years.
Wow.
So a long time. And they had that. And I grew up kind of in their household. We lived with them for a while. And then after we moved, I was always over there with my grandma and my grandpa. And so I saw that relationship, and I always wanted it.
Gotcha.
How about you, Navarro? What would you say influenced you?
Mine was a total opposite. I didn't have anybody that had a marriage. So I guess it was non-traditional things taking place. And because of that, it didn't work out long term.
Okay.
Right. And I think everybody that I've seen, they were for self. And then they came into the house together, but then they were also for self.
Okay.
It was non-traditional, and it didn't work out long term.
Okay. So you wanted to try something different.
Right.
Gotcha.
Different, where a blueprint that I know is sustainable.
Okay.
What solidified that? Like, what gave you that proof? You said that you knew was sustainable if you didn't see it.
So we're believers, we're Christians. So people in the church that are married, they traditionally have traditional households. And so those marriages are long lasting, where they're 20 plus years. And so when you start to ask people or interview, what is it that you guys are doing to have a long-term relationship? It always comes back to traditional roles.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I guess when we do talk about the traditional roles and I guess Christian faith and things like that, is there somewhere a tie in there, I guess, where a long marriage can happen because I guess just with Christian faith, someone would want to fight a little bit more rather than gender roles being something that was the mesh. You understand what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
So if I could clarify, like basically he's saying within Christianity, maybe is there like a value to marriage that's stronger than that keeps you guys together more than actually having the gender roles within the relationship?
Yeah, all correct balance, because I would say that some women could be unhappy, but their Christian faith kind of sticks them to that relationship where they want to fight to
make it work.
Yeah, to make it work and not be in a divorce situation,
Yeah, I think so. And part of our belief system is that we understand that we're both. We're never going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We'll piss her off, and then vice versa. But we do have a common ground, which is that we're married, we're in it together. And then through the Holy Spirit, then we can go ahead and then work out the differences that we have.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I guess it's her not looking at me as perfect, and then I have to live up to being perfect, but knowing
Gotcha.
what's up. And there's some grace in there and vice versa.
Okay.
That kind of leads me into our next topic of like the advantages and disadvantages of having gender roles within your relationship. So one of the advantages that I thought of when I was thinking about gender roles in a relationship was that you kind of know what to expect from your partner. So if you guys have set out roles, it's like, I know he's about to take out the trash. He knows that, if that's my role to stay home with the kids, that's what I'm going to do. And it's not to say that he's not going to help me or I won't help him, but it's to say that the foundation of our relationship, this is our place. Like we know our place, so we're not stepping on each other's toes. And like, I know what he's going to want from me. If my job was to cook dinner, I know he's going to expect that of me. And if it's not done, that kind of sounds crazy. But if it's not done, then it's like he may be upset because that was his expectation. And that's something that we agreed upon. So needless to say, he does cook and I do cook. So it's not a gender role to say that I'm just the chef of the household. And like you said, like you both cook, you may primarily cook. And it may just be because he's working and you are a stay-at-home mom. So you have that time where you can prep and do what you got to do. Hold it down.
It could definitely reverse because, I do the most cooking because, I just got I'm nice with the kitchen. So, I just end up in there most of the time.
Well, no, I will say, and that's something too. So like how you kind of said in the beginning where you were talking about courting and how when you get to know somebody, certain things, it's like you can't really expect them to change once you get married.
Yeah.
But for us,
I walked into the relationship cooking.
Yeah, because I was the spoiled princess, okay? I didn't have to cook. I didn't have to do anything.
Before me.
Yeah, so it was like when I got into a relationship, like I'm learning how to make some barbecue chicken and I'm learning how to do certain things. And he worked at Olive Garden. He had to cook at it, in his home. So it's like he already knew how. So he was just chefing it up and I was just enjoying it. But as a woman, I wanted to be able to like cook. I wanted to learn how. I wanted to, it was just a desire for me. It wasn't something that like he necessarily forced upon me, but it was something that I desired to do. And I remember like for our first year anniversary, I went all out, cooked some chicken parmesan and made him a nice dish, set up everything, and he was late. But I know. But so I do think even within a relation, what did you say?
It was a busy day that day.
No, he was at his apartment playing a game or something.
Oh my gosh. Was it cold though? Was it cold when he got there?
Was it cold?
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, you took way too long.
Way too long.
I think I got off work that day. I went home and took my shower
relax.
and all of that.
Yeah. But we made it. But I said all that to say that I do think even though like once you're courting, like you may meet somebody a certain type of way, but you also kind of grow together.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that could change over time. It shouldn't be your expectation because like you said, this is how you met me. This is how you started dating me. So you shouldn't expect me just to jump and change to your ideals and values if you knew those weren't mine. But as a partnership, as a relationship, as, our goal is to get to marriage and get to long-term and forever. So it's like we should be growing together and having these discussions.
Yeah.
So,
and having the discussions kind of just go back to those roles. Once they are set, I mean, it's perfect harmony for the most part. I mean,
because there's a balance.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that these roles change over time?
I think there's natural roles. So as you alluded to, when you found Saquon,
he found me.
He found you. You automatically fell into what I say your femininity, right? And so you want to cook for him. You want to, for the lack of a better word, please him, right? And you do that through food or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think those are just natural instincts. Mm-hmm. The same thing for guys. We do things naturally. Yeah. And I think those are the gender roles. And then people try to debate those things. But I just think it just happens naturally. You wanted to do those things for him.
All right. So I mean, this was part of our notes too, and I questioned it then. If some of these things are instinct, what is it that is influencing people to go against them?
Society, culture, right? Culture makes us question things. Media does as well.
And vicarious trauma. So people listen to other people's trauma and then they press them upon themselves. Mm-hmm. And so even though they never experienced it, they heard somebody that heard of somebody that had that happen to them, and then they embody that.
Gotcha. That actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Because and there's a topic that I want to talk about later, but it kind of touches on that. So also another advantage I feel like to having gender roles within the relationship is there's less things to argue about. It's like, it's kind of like, we know our roles. Like we're still equal, but we have our roles. So it's like, there's really not too much to argue about unless, someone starts kind of slipping. And then it's not even necessarily an argument. It could be a conversation.
You're just bringing it to their attention.
Another organization. You don't go into a business and there's two CEOs or there's two chief financial officers or whatever. Everybody has their own role. Mm-hmm. Come together to make this unit move as one.
Correct.
Right.
So when people are stepping over each other's toes, doing the same thing, I think that's where the confusion happens.
Mm.
Yeah, I agree.
That makes sense. So let's talk about some disadvantages of gender roles. For one, do you guys think that there are any?
I don't think so.
Okay. So
hold on. No? Okay.
I know you hate the term, right? But one would be toxic masculinity.
What is that?
But
I don't.
Now that's a whole nother topic. But basically, when I say toxic masculinity, the only reason why I bring it up is because in some of these situations where you have men that aren't living up to be the men that they are supposed to be, you have abusive relationships because some women instinctively are submissive, but they're submissive to a man that is not, I guess, worthy of being submissive to at the time. Mm-hmm. And this could lead into some abusive relationships that we see today in society.
I agree. I think, we know people date people within their circle, right? And so
correct.
Demographic, those are the type of people that you're going to date. But at the same time, in our community, we have a lot of trauma. Mm-hmm. And so people bring that trauma over to the relationships. But a lot of people have bad pickers. They're picking the wrong person, and they're picking them for maybe it's their beauty, or maybe it's more devious behaviors, right? Mm-hmm. And then you get accustomed to someone, and then you just put up with it. But then after a while, it's too much. But I believe you knew going into this was a bad pick.
Yeah.
But then you still go along with it for whatever reason. And so I think those dudes are being picked by the wrong woman, right? And so they keep going down the same path, or she keeps going down the same path, and it's just not working. But they keep doing the same thing.
Gotcha.
I think it has more to do with your you as a person than your gender role, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Because, okay, you know, with masculinity, what I've seen as far as definitions or whatever, is aggressive, assertive. Those things, those words come up.
Right.
Masculinity, caring, nurturing, emotional, that comes up, right? Those are just basic things that people are. You know, those are things that go into your personality trait, right? And so I feel like we want to blame it on gender roles now. Like everybody's like, no, we need to take this down. We need to stop with the gender roles. But one, some of these things are innately, they're innate, right? But then also some of it's physicality. I'm not going to lift the same things that he's going to lift. Now I can become a weightlifter and try, right? Like I can definitely try.
Yes, you can.
To move a couch? No, no, not at all. And so I think more of when it comes to abuse and people mistreating others, that is something that that's in their personality. That is a bad trait, usually coming from trauma because they've been mistreated, right? But I don't think that it has to do really with their gender role.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that the people are doing it because of the gender role. I think the gender role
allows it to happen because if, like, for example, let's say the man is the provider and the woman stays at home. And let's say it gets to a point where, you know, things are just going, like, he wasn't always this way or didn't always show himself this way, but things start getting bad at work, or he loses his job. And for him, he feels like this is something he's supposed to uphold. Like, he's supposed to be the provider. So now that he lost his job and maybe, or let's say he injured himself or something happens where he can no longer be the provider, then it can breed insecurity. And that insecurity can then lead to a character shift where he starts taking it out on her, maybe physically or emotionally abusive. Or let's say, you know, in this instance, he can't work. Maybe he got injured and she has to work. She gets a good paying job. Then he's able to go back to work, but he's not making as much as she is. Then it could be that egotistic insecurity as well because of that. So I don't think it's, like you said, it's not necessarily the gender role itself that sets you up for failure, but it could be the power that you feel like you're supposed to have within that gender role. And if you're not living up to it, then it can breed that abuse.
Actually listening to what you said this now, it is still the gender role. It sounds like what you're saying is the man is feeling some type of pressure of the gender role to provide that is starting to create this type of insecurity inside of him that is leading him to act a certain type of way. Would I be correct?
Right. But it goes back to character because like, if you understand that, okay, I lost my job, but you understand and you know that this is temporary, then you know that this shouldn't affect your ego. This is just a temporary hardship that you and your partner are going through.
Yeah. But a weak person will fall to the pressure of that gender role of saying, hey, I need, like, rent coming up. I need to provide for my family. I need to make sure I take care of it. But a weak person, let's say it's the second week of the month and they ain't hit a deal yet. That pressure can dig inside of them and pull out these personality traits that aren't correct because they're a weak person. They're not. I'm not saying of a strong man or a God-fearing man, that's someone that's aligned correctly, but someone that is weak, they can fold to that pressure and act out.
They have a moment of weekness.
Yeah, I mean,
because
I agree with that. But I think also when in a marriage, right? That's talking about in a marriage, if a man is going through that stress, I think as a partner for my wife, she's supposed to build me up. And I see most of the time she's actually adding to that stress. And so then it compiles.
You're saying in marriages that happens most of the time. Gotcha.
Right. And so I think with any man, and a woman can make a man do anything, really, if she can gas him up, right?
Yeah.
And he will go and conquer land, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, she has that power to gas us up, but she also has that same power to diffuse us as well.
Tear you down.
And so if she is saying certain things and doing certain things, that is actually deflating and not encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
Understand she's stressed too. I'm stressed too, right? But if we come together and she empowers me or emboldens me, then I can go out and conquer. Mm-hmm. But I'm not seeing that type of environment in a lot of marriages.
Right.
That is so good, because I was going to ask, Corey, I was going to ask you, do you feel like it is your job as your husband's wife to protect his ego? So it kind of goes back to what you said, like in a time. Yeah, I added it. In a time where you are down, like you said, Navarro, like as your wife, it's like, I build you back up. Like, lift your head up, shorty.
Right.
Don't call me shorty.
To do that even when he's not down. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I feel like it is my duty as a wife to encourage, to be there as a helpmate, to support.
Right.
These things are when I think of wife, that's what I think of.
Right.
Mother as well. It's the same thing. It's like you have this person, right? And you are in some way responsible for how they feel, and it day to day, right? You can say something and it can make them feel like the best person in the world, and you can say something and make them feel really, really shit. Are really, really terrible, right?
Yeah.
We can say that to anybody, your friends, your family, whatever. So for your husband, of course, you want him to feel like $1 million.
Right.
Because he is, that's what men, and that I would think that's an innate part of their gender role, is that they do need that, which is why women are coupled with them as the nurturer, as the person who's there to build you up, because we naturally do that.
Interesting. So go ahead.
Lastly is that I think with men, if there's two, using general, two masculine energies, if you will, that are taking place, men naturally are going to get defensive. And so if the woman is being more masculine, then it's like another dude approaching you out of hostility.
Right.
There's going to be some type of aggression there. Yeah. But I think when you're in your femininity, or you're, being a nurturer, the helper, it softens the guy. And then you start to really think instead of going off of emotion and anger.
This is where our power is as women. And I think we're forgetting that again with the gender role, is that, if we have someone assertive here, right, then this person must be a weakling, or what have you, right? Or if this person's out working, then this person. And I think what you guys were talking about earlier when you were saying, well, what if the person loses their job and then the man feels all this pressure because he is the protector, he is the provider, and he can't do those things. Then that's why, again, you're coupled with your helpmate, right? Because then they help build you up during that time. And if they have to go work, they do. If they, have to go to work, and then when they get home, make sure you're okay, still cook for you, still make sure, then that's what they do, and it's because you love that person, right? You want to build them up. And like he was saying, it is, there are a lot of times I know people, I'm sure everybody knows someone who's been through something like that, or even themselves, right? And then as a woman, you go out and you work, and then you're like, well, I'm making more. People like to throw things in people's face and make them feel worse than what they already do. Or you don't do nothing for me no more. Or, those things happen a lot. Yeah. And I think forget about that, because there's ego on both sides. The woman wants to feel just as much as the man that ego boost. You want to be told, you look beautiful today, honey. You want to be told, I love the way you cooked that, or I love the way you did this today, or oh my gosh, I just can't believe I'm with you. I'm so blessed. You know, everybody wants to hear those things.
Right. That's a really good point. Listen, guys, they're dropping jewels. Take notes. Take notes.
You do the same. You have to do the same thing too, and that's part of being masculine, right? Which is the providing, protecting. Mm-hmm. So with her, like she said, I cook some of the time because she's with my 8-month-old, and she may be going through something because she's been acting up, and so me coming to the crib, and then I have to go ahead and fill that role to actually provide for her.
Yeah. Right.
I think those go.
Yeah, it's not just monetary provision, right?
Right.
It's not just for protect, like even what you guys were saying about the money. Losing a job to a man means you cannot, not only can you not provide for your family, but you can't protect them either. Mm-hmm. You can't, right? Mm-hmm. You feel that burden. It's like these things that you want to do so bad because they're not burdens on you, right? They're things that you want to do. It makes you feel good. I'm sure as a man to come home and your wife is, good, or when you buy your wife something nice or take her to dinner or whatever, right? That's nice. It makes you feel good, right? So if you can't do those things, then you're like, what am I going to do, right? Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Do you guys know where the saying
rule of thumb
comes from?
I don't.
Go ahead, Navarro. Go educate your wife.
Huh? I came from the Black community, so I don't know. But what it is that it was legal for you to beat your wife with an object no bigger than a rule of thumb.
Yes.
Like the size of your whole thumb, or just like a little piece?
No, the width.
It had to be less than the width of your thumb.
So like a pencil, like
Nah. Think about, you see my thumb? Think about a paddle that thick.
Oh, something as thick as your thumb.
It couldn't be it has to be that size or smaller.
Oh, that's why I went like that.
Yeah, it has to be that size or smaller. Yeah, that's where this the expression rule of thumb. I never knew that until I was looking up gender roles.
To measure,
it was measuring something.
Yes, but that was like one of the things I was like, well, that's a disadvantage to gender roles because you ain't just gonna. I'm not your child. Okay.
I never knew that. But I feel like if you're in a household again where your man loves you and cares for you, he ain't gonna protect you. No, that's not taking place. No matter. Unless you want it.
Yeah, you see, but that's where.
At nighttime.
But that's where gender roles, I guess, traditionally have went too far.
Yeah,
with that being the actual law.
Again, about character.
Again, that's the culture, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That was not a rule, just like you said, it's not a real law, right?
Right.
It was an unspoken, societal thing. Oh, well, you could do this to her.
Oh, no, it was a real law.
You're okay. Well, that's still...
But it still was a law probably written by someone without good character. We'll put it there.
It's something that you can either leave or take, right? That's
right.
Not a for sure, you must do this.
Right.
You must smack her in the head, no.
Sit her in the chair with the dunce cap.
Okay. Oh my God.
That's a disadvantage. That's pretty bad.
Yes, that's very bad. Alrighty. So something I wanted to ask, I want to go into this. Okay. I don't know if you guys heard when, I think her name is Jenny Ma. Yes, and she was talking about how her and Jeezy are going to get married and that she looks forward to being submissive to him. Yeah. And that sparked a lot of conversation because, there's a connotation to the word submissive. So I would love you two Christian married folk to just talk about it from your perspective and do you believe that it's beneficial, or are you submissive to your husband? And also, what is your definition of submit? And then Navarro, would you submit to your wife? So he said, "Oh heck no, no."
He said no.
Yep.
But
Go ahead, y'all.
I think we took a negative turn on submissive because people made it out to be more than what it is.
Right.
As Saquon said before, some women are submitting to men that they're not supposed to. You're only supposed to submit to your husband, not some random guy on the street, right? And so they're submitting to the wrong men and not their husband. But again, your husband, I believe, is the head of household. He's the leader of the household. And so a part of being submissive is just checking in to say, okay, listen, this is what I'm thinking, this is what we're doing. Opposed to just going ahead and just doing whatever. So I check in with her. If I'm out, I call her, listen, I'm on my way, I'm doing this. That's part of being submissive. If I want to purchase something, I let her know, not saying that I can't do it, but out of respect for my wife, this is what's taking place. And then vice versa happen. And that is true submission.
Okay.
So in your definition as a man, I guess submission really is part about being transparent with your wife.
So.
Right. So you may not agree with certain decisions. And so a few weeks ago, she made a decision financially, and I wasn't cool with it. But hindsight, it was the best decision that we should have made.
Yeah.
But a part of being submissive is letting her do her thing, and then she was right. And then vice versa. If I'm strong about something, she's like, all right, I'm going to let that ride, even though she disagrees with it.
Gotcha. So then how do you decide in those situations where it's like we're not agreeing? How do you decide who is going to be submissive in that moment?
That's a good one. So
what we do is if we have something and we disagree, I go and pray about it. I bring it back. And then typically after I go pray about it, come back, talk to her again, if I'm strong-willed about it, then she might ride me. Or I may just drop it all together, but that was a terrible idea. That's how I do it. How do you
Yeah. Like, I just think, I'm just thinking, guys. Our most recent, I guess you would call it argument, right? Or disagreement. I was really strong about my opinion in it, right? I was like, I am right, basically, in my mind, right? And then what he was saying made sense. But I was still like, nope, I'm right. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. But you just keep going like, no. And so at one point I had to literally stop, and I picked up my Bible app, because in the mornings I do my Bible study in the morning, and then we do a couples one right after I do our separate Bible study. And so I was like, it says something today about forgiveness. Let me go back, right? And it said, be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as Christ Jesus forgave us, right? And I was like, oh. And then I looked up compassionate. What does compassionate mean in this moment? Because I was really I really thought I was like, I have to fight, because it's an ego thing, right?
Right.
You have to be like, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm completely wrong in this, right? And I apologize. And so I really had to go to the Bible to back me up on, okay, girl, this is not it, right? You're not being compassionate. You're not even thinking. And part of being compassionate is concern for others, right? And so I just looked up submissive, and similar. It said being obedient and basically just going along with what they're saying, like what he's saying now. Yes, I want to be agreeable, and I want to, if I'm wrong, be able to say I'm wrong, right? Right. And not hold up my flag like I'm right, knowing I'm not. Pride. I think that submission has to do a lot with pride, because with your husband, right, or with your wife, this is the one person you don't have to be proud around, right? You don't have to carry that with you. And so it gives me joy to be able to, and I tell him this all the time, to be able to be submissive to someone like him because he cares for me. You know what I mean? Like it's not taken for granted. I never seen him like, about anything, like, well, you should have done that or, or you down the wrong path. And when I think about submission, I think about how I submit to God as well. It's the same thing. I follow him. And I know where he's leading me. And I know it's always to somewhere good. You know what I mean? And so with my husband, because I picked, well, okay. And because I really pray for him and I know God sent him to me, I know I can follow him with just as much zeal as I would follow Jesus.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get something off in a minute too. But I think the men also have to follow for me, Christ as well. And so when I'm following him, I know I'm not going to do anything to harm her or put her in jeopardy of anything that was negligent. But I will get this off. People are upset about submission, but when they go to work, they are submissive.
So they're boss.
So we're arguing about who we're going to be submissive to.
They're supervisor.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's something that is huge. Like we talked about it when we were talking about arguments. And it's like when you go to work and your boss is getting on your nerves, you don't just go yelling and acting crazy with your boss, but you come home to your partner and you act a fool.
Yep. Just I think of women hitting men. Women man up, right? But the moment he turned, or verbally abusing, yelling at them, berating them,
Yes, demeaning them.
Yes, always and doing that, and then when men do it, it's so beautiful,
right?
Which it is awful to do to someone, right? But when women do it, we don't look the same as.
You look at the man. If he can't take it, you look like they're judged as being weak and like, oh, you just let her bully you and beat you beta. But no one should be putting their hands on either partner.
No one.
Verbally abusive either.
Yeah.
I think that's females have the physical abuse thing, but men have the verbal abuse.
Yeah. Women will,
with a black eye don't mean everything else ain't.
Yeah.
Right, bruised ego.
He got a bruised ego.
How about that?
But that's very true. Yes, and some women just say things that just should not be said, and that's one thing I just never understood. But I think it's just a part of growing and healing, because I do think, like you guys said, a lot of it comes from traumas. A lot of it comes from our childhood and things that we've experienced. A lot of it is just like defense mechanisms. So it's like once you can become aware that what you're doing is unhealthy, and then also try to figure out where it stems from and heal that, I think relationships will be much healthier.
We got to forgive our mothers.
That's what I think of when I think about what he said about following Christ, right? Or following God. You have to have a real moral compass, right? Your own moral compass could be kind of messed up. That's something wrong, right? It's like so many. You can't, if you go on your own or lean on your own understanding, sometimes you're in such a deep, dark place that you don't even know, and you're destructive to others and have no idea, right? Oh, well, I'm hurt, right? So I'll hurt them. Not even knowing you're doing that. So I think that's another reason why, like you were saying earlier with the guy who was being abusive because he lost his job, because there's nothing there where he's submitting to something, right? It's more, I am the leader, I'm the top of this food chain. And so if I mess up, then all you have to pay, right? Instead of compassionate and loving like our God is to us, right? And knowing that we all make mistakes. We all fall down and we're fine, right? You keep living, you keep moving. You say, I'm sorry, and you move on. So.
I think another big part is therapy and marriage counseling before you get married.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we did marriage counseling and I did therapy before we entered into marriage, because I wanted to make sure I'm not bringing any baggage over to her. Mm-hmm. And so we did that marriage counseling. I did it separately. We did it separately, but then we did it together as well.
Yeah.
And so I think when you work through that trauma, it won't come over. Some stuff may bleed over, right? But you know how to.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I was just saying, I agree. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying you see it, right? Mm-hmm. So you're able to identify it, and then you're able to work from there, right? Because if you don't identify, like what I was saying the other day with our argument, I identified that I was incorrect, right? While it was going on. Now, I went on for a little bit longer than I should have after I knew that and realized that. But then after, but during it, I was able to redirect, right?
Yeah. And that's great when you can call your own self out, because it's like nobody wants to like the mirror to be flipped on them and see their flaws. Like that is like uncomfortable. It's like me.
Yeah, especially while you're arguing. The last thing you want to do is listen to the person that is the op, right now. You could be saying something right, but it's like, I don't want to hear what you got to say.
And that's why we always say, it's like, you have to remember, we're not on separate teams. We're always on the same team, even when we disagree. Exactly. We are always on the same team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought about it too during it. Yeah, because we're on the same team,
Mm-hmm.
And I think about, okay, when we're in an argument, this is my life partner, right? Like I'm with him to there's no question in my mind. We are going all the way to the deathbed, Right. So I think about that and I'm like, in me, the old me is like, you should be mad tomorrow, and then you should show him, right? Or whatever, right? But then I'm like, why would I do that? It's my best friend. I want to be able to, talk to him. That's going to hurt me more than because I like to talk and he don't care about talking anyway, right? So you could probably run around with a little bit.
You're like, whoo.
So you think about that. It's the person you're doing life with and you want to treat them well, right?
Right.
You want to have a good relationship with them. You don't want to linger and let the sun go down on your anger.
Yeah.
So a question then, is that a gender role then? Because are females more emotional? Meaning they're coming from a position of emotion versus male coming from a position of logic.
I hear that a lot. and at first I'm like, oh, so men just think logically and women were just emotional. But then I thought about it and I'm like, you know what? That's kind of true. We are more emotional beings. And it's not necessarily a negative thing.
Really? It never has been.
Well, it can be if you are like
really emotional, right?
Right. Or if you just don't have if you don't have that self-control over your emotions.
Right.
That's where it could be negative. But I'm like, women, we are more emotional, and men, they are more logical. And that's okay, Charmaine.
And we balance each other out.
Each other out.
Because you can't go off the deep end if somebody's like, hey, listen to reason over here. And then they can't go too deep in thought about stuff or be too mechanical, right? When we have our emotional side that helps them to tap into theirs, right? So I think it's all a yin and yang, a joining of the two. It's just perfect. It's perfect.
And that's why we're made for each other. Logic and emotion. Women are mostly emotional and men are mostly logical in the way they think. And I do think that is true. It took me some time to come to that conclusion because I just don't like double standards and I don't like how, people just try to blame everything on women.
It's not to say that we don't have it at all. It's not to say that we're illogical completely, and we lack emotion completely. It's just saying that we are the more
emotional beings.
Correct.
Yes. I get it now. And I do think it's true. And I do think that's probably one of the instinctual gender roles. Like you were saying earlier, it's just something that naturally comes to us because, and I think we have to be that way as being nurturers, as being mothers. You have to, like, your emotion, like, you are more sympathetic, you're more understanding, you're like, you feel their pain the same way, like you said, like, we want to lift each other up when he's down and hurting. It's like, we're there to, come here, shikapoo. So
it's crazy how that works too. I remember a situation, we were playing dodgeball with it was us. Oh
yeah.
We had her nieces and nephews and
my brother and sister-in-law.
Yeah. And anyway, her nephew got beamed in the head.
Nose started bleeding, or was his mouth started bleeding, or nose?
Nose started bleeding. Right.
Yeah, we were about to set it off up in
the females, the females, the women were ready to just go fight somebody.
Daggone Skippy.
Meanwhile, me and her brother, we looking at him like, y'all ready to jump in this game? Like, we just ready to jump in the game, and we don't really care that he got hit in the head because...
No, you care.
No, well, we care, but we don't because...
he's okay.
Yeah, we know he ready to jump back in.
Yeah, but however, see, the thing with that is, like, okay, I understand you playing a game, it's physical, something could happen, but the kids were older, and they weren't necessarily like it was like they did it kind of, not intentional, but it was just their attitude about it. So to me, I'm like, if you're not going to be apologetic, then that kind of means your intent wasn't positive, which means now we have to roll up on you, you little 12-year-old.
See, and I think that's where it comes into play is because
I don't know how old they were.
To her, she feels like the intent wasn't positive, where I could say as a boy, I know that me and my friends would have went up in there aiming to beam the thing at each other's head.
Right.
Well, that's not really great character, is it?
But I know where I'm from, when we get into fights with dudes, then we start building bonds and we're best friends later. Females don't operate like that.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
Something that's traumatic for you guys, y'all ready to fight, and then that's your enemy. But for dudes, typically, it's like, okay, now we dap up.
So who has more logic in that case then? Because after someone knocks you upside your head and your nose starts bleeding, then y'all best of friends. Is that really logical?
No. See, this is the thing. Y'all don't gain respect after it.
She said something. Huh?
Yeah. Y'all
What'd you say, Court?
No, I was saying they have to actually fight, not just one person get hit in the head.
Exactly. When two males fight, they could gain respect for each other afterwards. Like, I could literally say, "Whoa, man, I'm sweating. You gave me a run for my money." You get what I'm saying?
Women can't do that. And you know what? The funny thing is that these things that we're talking about now are literally the umbrellas under which the gender roles come from. So if you think about emotion and logic, if you think about just those two words, and then how from logic can stem a protective nature, someone who can provide, right? And what you guys are talking about are just instinctive things that men do, right? But those things are needed. Let's say we were in the wilderness, right? And you had to fight a bear, right? You can't be scared. You can't be fearful, right? You have to be willing to go out there and then maybe get scratched up and come back again, doing it again the next day, right? There's something about that, right? And then they're mapping out ways to now take this bear down, right?
Yeah.
The logic side. Emotion will bring us more for caring, nurturing, taking care of the person who just went out and got scratched up, right? Now he comes home, we can make sure he's okay, wash his wounds, sing to him, right? Those things are all emotional things that we need. And then I was thinking about something, I want to say it before I forget, but when you were saying that emotion, it's natural for a woman because we're nurturers and mothers, right? So in lactation, and I know you know this, literally seeing your baby makes you lactate. Think about that for a second. So just the pure emotion that a woman feels, it brings up so much of, is it our estrogen, Jermaine?
Oxytocin.
Our oxytocin. So it rises those levels for us just seeing the little baby there, that the milk starts producing itself, right? That is crazy. And because of our emotion, those are all tied in, because a man seeing the baby wouldn't produce the same reaction.
It doesn't produce the same reaction, but I do think that it happens. Things like that does happen in men. Think about a man that isn't pushed sexual things their whole life, right? The moment he sees his wife in a certain state or something like that, he's on. Like,
but that's a protection instinct. Think about it.
Yeah, it's instinct.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, like with the baby situation, how you say like mothers, we just have that innate ability, like when we see the baby, the emotions there, the hormone levels are increased. For men, that's why they usually say most babies come out looking like their fathers, because men don't necessarily have that emotional attachment the same way women do. So if the child looks like them, they're more easily to bond with them.
No way, Sherman.
Fun fact, baby. Yes.
Wow.
And most babies come out looking like the father.
They do.
They're always
It's crazy.
yeah, and that's a bonding technique for the man and their child.
Wow.
Yes. Look, we're just listening, y'all. I hope you all are taking notes, okay? These are some really good jewels that both sides are saying.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So
I mean, we done went through the notes. We're
gonna do our so now we have our couples question. So on our lives, we typically go through these, like we just love these questions. There are 52 questions you should ask your partner. Well, we're not gonna ask you all 52, but 52 questions you should got all night. 52 questions you should ask your partner before you either move in together or before you get married. So we're just going to choose a card from the deck and we'll ask you guys the question. Okay. So, all righty. Let's see. Oh, yeah, this is a good one. We answered this. You guys weren't on this live, so we can ask you. What are the determining factors for who will take care of dependents? Children, parents, pets, etc. Part 1.
What do you mean take care of? Is it just like in general? We'll take care of?
I would say like that actually kind of comes down to like gender roles too, because with children, so the determining factor for that is, I mean, you both are, but you both have different roles when it comes to taking care of your children. I'm answering for you.
Yeah, but what about Navarro's mom if she ever
God forbid she had to move in with you guys? How would you guys determine whose responsibility is it to take care of her?
Like physics. So we're talking about physically take care of someone.
Correct.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whomever is at home, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Wait,
I mean,
mom.
she may be an invalid, like, getting older.
When they get older, sometimes, parents there's a lot of parents who live at home with their adult children. Once they get to an age, they may have like Alzheimer's. God forbid your mom doesn't have any of this. Yeah. But that, or they just may be very elderly, fragile, and they just need someone there because they could be walking around, fall, break a hip. So they need someone to watch them, help them bathe, things of that nature.
Give you a generic answer. I think it's both.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm at work, she'll probably do it.
Yeah.
But then when I come back, when he gets home, that's mom. So gotta do it.
Yeah, that's how we do with the kids. I mean, it's when he's at work, I'll take care of them, and then when he gets home, it's a lot going on. So I may go in the room with one, he's with the other, or he may watch them both while I go do things I need to do, relax, drink some wine. Okay. Yeah, so it's a trade-off for us.
Okay.
Nice. It was the same for us too.
Okay. And then
that's what we said, because we were like changing depends and stuff. It's like we might get a caregiver.
I didn't say might, because I don't know what's gonna happen if we home by ourselves. Because I don't know what's going to happen with that diaper.
What'd you say, Navarro?
I heard somebody.
Men don't want to change baby diapers, okay?
Right.
In my mind, I'm all for changing the baby diapers, but,
when it starts boo-booing, you're going to say, shove it. You may do it a couple times, but they start getting real scary. coming to play? It's looking like yours. Okay.
Oh man, that's funny. Yeah.
Maybe that is where it stopped. Once it start looking like mine.
Little pee-pee diaper. Little breast milk diaper.
Like, what did you eat? Oh man. All right. And then the second part of the question says, how do you feel about utilizing childcare, daycare, nannies, nursing homes, etc.?
Which we kind of just mentioned.
Well, you know how we feel. I mean, I'm all for those things if they're needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at first, when we were both working, they would go to daycare, right? But then then he started just working, and then I chose to start staying home. You know, we talked about it, and we're like, all right, this was what we want to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Couple, and so now I take care of the kids, but we're still gonna send Kai to daycare once a week now, because now we're like, well, let's have a day to just spend together. Why not? Right in the middle of the week. So I'm for it.
I think that's fine. And then also, I think the kids also need to interact with other kids.
True.
That's a huge.
Yeah.
What do you guys
go ahead, baby?
Well, I forget the name of it. What is it that we was having a conversation
Au
about?
pair.
Yeah. What do you guys think about an au pair?
The person who lives in the home with you guys?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I think an au pair is specifically a foreign, younger
usually like
woman.
a young foreign woman. Uh-huh.
Yep, they won't be in my house, but I'm going to be honest. No.
Not today, Satan.
That's just asking for temptation running around the house. No.
Yeah.
I don't know what an au pair is. So.
Well, he's saying it's a young foreign woman who comes to live in your home and take care of the kids.
They're typically young. They can be older. Like we had au pairs growing up. My mom was a single mom and worked multiple jobs. So we had a live-in nanny, but they were never young, but they were foreign and usually spoke Spanish.
Yeah, and that's what I think the difference is between a nanny and an au pair.
Huh?
I would do older. I could have an older.
Live-in though? Live-in? Okay.
No temptation around these pots. But no, that's very true, because even as faithful as your partner can be, like, I think putting yourself around temptation is setting yourself up for failure, because you guys can be going through something, and you know how people try to sneak in as that shoulder to lean on. Oh, you guys are fighting. Come talk to me. No.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
talk to yourself.
And if you really, really get down into it and you talk about instinct, I mean, women let off some type of hormones and pheromones and stuff like that. That is, I mean, men actually react to. So it's like, why would you want another one walking around your house? Or what I learned was women's cycles, they link up.
Yeah, they can start to sync.
They link up.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to be linked to the person you work with? That work for you. You know? We don't need to have that type of relationship.
We close, but we ain't that close. Saquon is a mess. He's really like, listen, if they work for us or work with you, they don't need to be that close. And it's like, all right, babe. But some people form relationships from coworkers.
I even look at it like this. We want like 600 acres. I really do want a chef. I want a chef to be there to cook me breakfast. If I want something for lunch, I should be able to cook my own lunch. But if if need be, I want to be able to call you. And same thing for dinner. I want it done. So you will live on my property, but you're going to live on the other side of the 600. You get what I'm saying? You're just going to drive. You just need to be on time.
What did you say?
I said like another home on the property, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's against au pairs. He doesn't want anyone living in our home, as you can see. What do you guys think about nursing homes?
Yeah.
You would throw your parents in the nursing home?
It's not throw them. Some of these. One one nursing home they just rolling around with those little tennis balls and having a great time. I mean, they eating caviar and steak and lobster tails every daggone day and hanging out with their friends. My mom is not the type that sits down, who wants to just sit around the house. She's not. Mm-hmm. So all her girlfriends were going to the same nursing home. She would be in there. She would want to be in there. She would be like, bye. Please.
Okay. So it would have to be like a 5-star nursing home. It would have to be creme de la creme.
No, if they want to go there, they can. Goodbye. Exactly.
3-star joint.
Listen, you're gonna get the hotel and nursing homes. This is all we can afford. You go socialize.
Make friends. Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah.
Oranges, not caviar and steak. Yep, they do.
Oh man, yeah.
No, they do. But I do know, like here in Arizona, I think like it's like one person to every so many patients or something like that.
Yeah, that's one thing. So it's like, huh?
Those are 1-star joints.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's why I wouldn't send our parents to a nursing home. God willing, we'll have the land that we want to have. And I would give them like a mini casita or something on the property so they could still feel like they have their independence. And then I'd have like a driver bring them to like, not the nursing home, but I guess adult recreational activities so they can go play bingo with the girls on Thursday night.
They sleeping at the nursing home. They just go there.
They just go to hang out.
Right.
Grandma daycare.
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah. They get a little lobster tail.
Or put her in a mobile home or something like that.
What?
Like the mobile home, these mobile homes.
Oh,
parks?
Some of these mobile home parks are really nice.
Yeah.
They have some here. The ones that
nursing homes or
I don't know.
Nah, they're
a mobile home park, but like it's like down in Coolidge. I know there's like really nice ones, but they have like recreational areas. Like you would think, I don't know, they got real fancy. You wouldn't think like mobile homes, you just think negative connotation, but they have some really fancy ones.
Yeah, and it's the older people like them. They got older communities.
They got golfing down there and pools.
Yeah, I seen all of this working at Enterprise, bro.
Who?
Working at Enterprise, I've seen all of this.
Oh, yeah, Mesa.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, if you go deep out there, it's like nice communities. And when the spring come around and they travel down here, like, they really outside walking dogs, riding bikes, playing tennis. It's for real.
Living their best life.
Well, I guess it's not really a nursing home. It would be like a community.
Yeah, that one's a community.
Yeah.
One of those communities for sure.
Yeah, I would probably have to just send someone to check on them all the time.
Yeah. But I do think I could understand too why you would do it, like why anyone would choose a nursing home. Because I have like patients who are caregivers to their parents and it's a full-time job and it wears on them. Like you can't really have your own life outside of that if you don't have help.
Yeah.
So I could understand why making sure, it's a good place, of course. Everybody would want their parent to be in a good place. But because you have to have time for yourself. And just like you guys said, having Kai go to daycare for a day so that you guys can have a little, Whitaker time. But that's important. And that's one thing when we did premarital counseling that our counselor was telling us. He was like, after you have a baby, he was like, a lot of people go to counseling because that's a different shift in your relationship. And you have to remember that you two have to bond still and still date each other and love on each other. It can't just be all about the kids. So that's wonderful.
True. One of the old heads told me, listen, you got 2 options. You either take your wife on a date or you get a divorce. So,
it's true. We even had to schedule on the calendar our date nights. And it's for the whole year. So we know when we have date night,
Nice.
So yeah, it's important.
I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. Well, thank you guys. This was wonderful. A lot of insight and knowledge that was dropped.
Yes. Before you guys go, Navarro, please plug your business. Let us know what your nonprofit is about.
Yes, and where people can find you guys if you want to be found.
Somewhere in America.
Yeah.
But we have a nonprofit. It's called M25, Matthew 25. And what it is a finishing school for men. And so I strongly believe if men are leading their household, a lot of other things in life fall into place. And so when we start to look at people and their livelihood, good or bad, it stems from the father. And so if we tune the father up, we get them to love their families, be high earners so they can take care of their families. Everything else falls into place. And so M25 is to tune men up so that they can go back, love their families like they need to, and then have them flourish so that our community can flourish.
Okay. Do you have a website where they can find you at, find the nonprofit at?
Yeah, we're building the website. It's m25.com.
Okay.
And then we're on all social media platforms, Matthew 25 on all social media.
So we're going to link those all in the description below. So if you guys are interested, go check them out. These are great people. I'm sure you guys can tell just from our conversation with them, their character, and we love them. So make sure you guys go check that out. Anything else you guys want to promote or say before we end this?
We have a meal delivery service here in Arizona. So if you guys want healthy organic meals that are ready to eat, check out nutrientmealsaz.com and nutrientaz on all social media platforms.
Nice. So that will also be down. So listen, they're feeding you in both your gut and in your mind. Okay? Power couple things. All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Be sure to make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And if you guys have any questions or if you guys have experienced advantages or disadvantages for gender roles while in a relationship, be sure to comment it below or email us at thepowertrippodcast@gmail.com.
And follow us on all social media at thepowertrip.com. Oh, no, the PowerTrip Podcast.
Yes, the PowerTrip Podcast. We love you guys. And until next time.
Deuces.
Peace.